we go. So hello and thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate you making the time to come along. My name's Dave and I'm a project professional coming to you live from the beautiful city of Sunderland in the northeast of England. And I'm also an instructor on the Pure Project Manager Credential course. And that's what we're here to talk to you about today, all things Pure Project Manager. We're looking to answer any questions you've got, dig into a little bit more detail. But before we do that, we'll probably start with a couple of intros from a couple of the guys we've got on the panel today, who are also instructors on the Pure Credential course. So first of all, Tanya, do you mind if I come to you to do a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Tanya Boyd. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, otherwise known as Cajun Country and the best food. Coming at y'all from Galveston, Texas on a little remote working vacation today. But I have gotten my PMP in 2014. I've also got the Agile certification, and I've worked in a lot of different industries from disaster recovery, healthcare, IT, to now more educational content. And glad to be here and part of the Pure team.
And I'm Ellen Ramsey. I'm a college professor leading management and leadership in our MBA programs. I'm also a project manager because I lead several different projects in higher ed as well as on the outside of higher ed. And I have my CAPM since for 2 years now, or perhaps more, time's flying. So anyway, welcome to our course session.
The audience can probably tell I'm the least accomplished of the three of us already, but let's try and keep that.
No, those tips that you give out on LinkedIn to help others, I think it's wonderful, your service that you're providing. So you're humble, Dave, as well.
You're far too kind. Okay, so last couple of details. For anyone who doesn't know, Pure is a new credential built by a group of us who live and breathe projects and project delivery. We've got a team of over 20 project professionals behind this, and these aren't full-time instructors or coaches. These are people who are out in the trenches, dealing with shifting priorities, navigating project blockers, delivering value every single week. The Pure Credential itself is broken into 29 bite-sized practical courses, and these are designed to get you better at what's practically going to make a difference on your projects, not preparing to pass a syllabus or anything like that. We're trying to delve into stuff that really matters with some effective and relevant tools and insights that you can put to use straight away. The Pure Project Manager course is $399, and that breaks down to around $14 a course. And that includes all the course content, all the PDUs if you're maintaining any existing certifications, and your final exam for the Pure Credential. We've built Pure with a vision for it to be accessible, flexible, and genuinely helpful. And I really hope that this session will give us a good chance to dig into everything that you guys want to know about it. And with that, let's get going into the questions, I guess. So what the first question we've got is, do I need to be a PMP holder to take part in the Pure course? Tanya, why don't I bounce that one over to you if that's okay?
Sure. So no, you do not have to hold your PMP to take the Pure course. Actually, it would be a very great supplementary course to start before, because of the fact that it deals with project managers who have built this, that are actively working in their field. You got a lot of real world experience through their stories, through how they implement their projects. And it really covers the gamut between a lot of soft skills, power skills, and also technical skills such as Lean, Scrum, and Agile.
Very nice. Ellen, anything that you want to add or change on that?
Not to change, just that we're always talking about upskilling and just doing your best and growing. So if you already have the PMP, great, but you don't need it, as Tanya said, to get right into this, because this is real world application as well.
Great, cool. Okay, question number 2. Can I use what I learned in the Pure Credential to train my own team? Let's switch the order. Ellen, how about I come to you first?
Well, absolutely. Just thinking of, I took all the courses, so I could say that for every single one of these, whether it be servant leadership, so whether it be servant leadership, AI, enhancing team dynamics, that's the one I do with leadership. You can go back and apply this to your teams, to your executives, to even if you're not on a team yet, you can apply it to your everyday job. And it's practical. You can take the steps. You don't have to have a specific order, but you can take, say, servant leadership after team dynamics. So if you're kind of in that role of empathetic leadership, you're kind of enhancing what you've already learned for one course, moving on to the other, it's kind of a kit and caboodle, so to speak. Again, everything works on its own, but if you wanted to, you can apply it right away. So what we suggest is not to try to go through everything at once, but sit with it, even take your own notes or journal, think about it, and then go out there and apply, and don't feel shy about implementing anything, because that's where growth is.
Really good point. Really good point. Tanya, anything to add to that?
I love what she said about the real world skills, and even the emotional intelligence, the servant leadership, the agile, Brittany's course on startups. That's one thing that is so cool about this collective is you've got so many different people from so many different walks of life, different parts of the globe, and in different industries that bring their full perspective to this, even customer service, so a lot of times we identify that as being outside of project management, but it's not. Having that value delivery for the customers and understanding how to be hospitable, kind, and negotiate properly are all important components of project management.
Yeah. And just to chip in slightly for myself, it's really nice to get that diversity of perspective. I've primarily worked on technology and software projects, but to have opinions and perspectives from people working in construction, for example, there's a lot of ideas in there I might not touch, but there's a lot of stuff in there that gives me a different viewpoint and lets me look at what I do in a very different way, which is really good and really useful for taking new perspectives back to your own team if you want to build a training program or a catalog of tools off the back of it. So completely agree. Okay, next question. So I think all of our courses do this in some way, but the question is, how does Pure integrate soft skills into project management? Tanya, do you want to have a first stab at that one?
Sure. So even just the topics of emotional intelligence, which emotional intelligence and communication are so big and so broad. And I think a lot of times project managers will prioritize their technical skills and the frameworks, and they forget how important being able to break down complex terminology to communicate it to different audiences actually is. And that's been my experience. Like a lot of times people get really, really good with the high tech things, but they forget the basics of that conversation and how to really just sit back, ask the right questions from your team, and drill down to the root cause.
Okay, cool. Ellen, anything else to add on the soft skills topic?
Well, just basically, one of the biggest shifts we're seeing is also with adaptive leadership. Of course, theory is great. I even know with higher ed, we have textbooks with all the theoretical explanations, but when you're getting right in there and dealing with humans and the human connection and having that psychological safety, so to speak, to talk on teams and grow and communicate, that's what we're seeing as well. And with every course that's here, I believe everyone can, I shouldn't say everyone, but most people can take it and then adapt it to what they're thinking of in terms of where they work, as you said earlier, Dave. But I do see this as emphasizing trust, autonomy, and communication.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of a trap project managers fall into where they sort of relegate the soft skills to being below the hard technical stuff. Mm-hmm. But the longer you're in this role, the more you realize the soft skills are what I rely on regardless of the project. So they are probably the ones I should double down on more than the technical skills.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's keep stepping forward. So Ellen, I'll come to you with this one. There's a comment/question. I've tried a selection of other certifications. What makes Pure different from the others?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know all the credentials that are out there, but I can talk purely for Pure. If they're trying to compare it to anything else with project management, it could be used right away. You don't have to wait with the PDUs, which are professional development units, and those can go towards that 60 credits. I'm not sure if anything else can apply so many to one aspect, because with credentials and the PMP certification, you need to keep that active. And I believe it's 60 PDUs. I'm not sure at the moment. I do know there's a certain amount of PDUs that the PMP needs. And after we complete this, it can go right into you're done, and you can continue on doing professional development units, but you don't have that stress of needing it at a certain time.
Tanya, what do you think makes us different in terms of the Pure Credential?
Well, I am going to mimic a lot of what Ellen just said too. And even with the PDUs, there's a trick that I used to use for years. You know, as soon as I got my certification in 2014, I immediately set about trying to collect PDUs, and they were from different sources. But I tried to do it quickly just to be able to recertify. I know a lot of project managers, and I've helped actually a lot of them whenever their certification has lapsed. So I'm just a very, very big proponent in proactive rather than reactive. And as soon as it's up, just get it in, get that peace of mind that you have it done so you don't forget. But to me, the differences are there are a lot of different ways that you can get PDUs. But this is one of the more centralized ways with the diverse base that I've seen, and just the fact that it's got its own badge, you know, its own credential that comes along with it. And I think another big thing is just instructors that are accessible. Every single one of these people are working in their field and have real world experience, you know, and are also, most of them are on LinkedIn. You know, so that's been one huge thing, even being part of this group and team and having the conversations with all of you outside too, and learning from one another. I think that makes us very different.
Yeah. I really want to chip in on this one, because anyone who's connected with me on LinkedIn will probably know I do a ton of certifications, not just in project management, but in things like Agile, cloud computing, AI, data. And there's a bit of a trend that a lot of people have commented on, especially in cloud and Agile, that a lot of certifications now they're more concerned with preparing you for an exam than they are for giving you real practical, effectiveness boosting tools. Right. What really drew me to Pure was it's not focused on a syllabus or a teaching logbook. It's very much around making a tangible difference to what you can do on your project straight away, which is really what drew me in. That sort of relentless focus on increasing your effectiveness is really what I like about Pure, I would say.
I love that.
Cool. Next question I've got. I've sort of stolen the thunder of this question. I probably should have read it first, but Daniel, I'll come to you first. Will this program give me tools I can use tomorrow in a meeting?
You said me first.
If you don't mind, please.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Okay. So tools that you can use, I mean, just even the difference in perspectives. I mean, I think a lot of it is storytelling. And I think for all of us, no matter what the industry, we relate better to others when we share experiences and stories, and we share obstacles that we've gone through and how we overcame those particular obstacles. So I think a lot of instructors do that in their course as well. And it just gives people a lot of food for thought. It's even like watching a TED Talk or motivational videos. A lot of time you wind up watching those for 15 minutes and coming away with ideas or different views that you never thought of before. So a lot of times people are able to implement that immediately, whether it's enhancing creativity, steering the conversations better, or even figuring out how to be more optimistic when the storms run in. So.
Ellen, I'll go across to you.
I know it seems similar to a different question, but in the sense as you can get into it right away. But I remember one of them talked about the Kanban board or time management and those skills, or even self-care. It's so many things that seem simplistic, but in a lot of times we don't take that into consideration, like putting ourselves on the calendar, making sure that we put our oxygen mask on first, because if we're burnt out, none of this matters. So you just need to do the proper planning time, and it speaks for itself, really. That's what I find, some practical skills that you take away, and also that you can yourself compound on top of, whatever you've learned. You can apply and say, oh, that was great. Well, how about this? And then it has a spark of creativity that you might not even know that you have.
Yeah, and remember, I've taken a couple of these now, and I think one of you guys mentioned Jim Chambers' course on customer service earlier. And sort of as I was going through it, you can feel the excitement building, thinking, this is exactly what I should be doing. I should think of myself as a customer service rep, and these are the types of patterns I should apply. So yeah, totally agree. Okay, the next question we've got, is there a focus on communication and emotional intelligence? Ellen, how about I come to you first on that one?
Absolutely. Part of my course, this wasn't planned, but part of my course does talk about being emotional aware, having that emotional intelligence as well. Other ones as well. What was the other section other than emotional intelligence? You mentioned one more thing in the
Communication.
question. Oh, that's throughout. Communication. Definitely one example is leadership styles. Some of us, I mean, there are different leadership styles as we know, but not one is based on every specific scenario. So you have to read your room, be aware of your surroundings, the people that are there as well, and you can change it up. Even if you aren't a leader and you're a part of a team that you're listening to the leader, it's important that you're taking it all in. So when you have this content that's by people, when you're taking each course, you'll see the person actually wants to be there delivering the information to you. So you will feel that, I believe, because I did as a, not just the instructor, but we all went through each course. And I felt that when you mentioned Jim Chambers, Dr. Chambers, I got a kick out of some of the examples he was giving because it was from some 20 plus years in the industry. So he was telling you what actually happened and what you can do or what not to do. So you'll get a little bit of this in every course and a lot in certain ones.
Great. Tanya, anything to add there?
I just had a brain lapse for a second. It happens. So, I mean, I think a lot of what she said, just sampling the different courses. And I mean, I love, the communications and the emotional intelligence because I'm a big proponent of the power skills, and I think just understanding that. And I think it takes learning those skills absolutely takes real world application. But it's something that you can pick up and you can apply in your own life from other people's stories. And that's the great thing about inspiration and motivation from different teachers. We're in a position where we're able to positively influence other people's behaviors, to be more mindful, be more respectful. And as you said, Ellen, too, like a lot of times project managers suffer from the I have to do everything and I have to be there for everybody. And sometimes we forget that we need to prioritize ourselves and our self-care sometimes so that we can continue serving and being there for other people.
Absolutely.
Just on the communication point, I've heard communication's important for project managers. I don't know what you guys think, but I've heard it's a big part of the job. One thing that's really nice about Pure is you'll get sort of the communication styles of 25 to 30 people. And I'm one of the best coaches I ever worked with taught me you'll take what your house gives you. And what he meant was you'll use your project management skills in a way that you're naturally attuned to. So the way I communicate isn't necessarily going to be as polished as Tanya, for example, or I might not have the lexicon and vocab that Ellen has. But I hope that you'll see there's a variety of approaches, styles, and themes that you can draw on. And it's not to say that you'll naturally align with one person, but there's ideas and tricks and patterns that you can steal from everybody. And I think that that's the hallmark of a good PM. You're prepared to steal to improve your results.
Well, I can tell you motivated me a lot, even just on AI. I know your course isn't specifically on that, but just some of the different ways that you're utilizing AI very creatively, I think has a great influence. And I know there's several courses too that touch on AI in here. So that's such a broad subject, and it's so interesting to see how everybody is using it, whether for idea generation, avatars, or how they're using it to speed up their projects. Like even if it's, I'm in this industry, I need the top 50 risks for this specific industry, help me to prioritize these. And then you can take that list into a meeting with your stakeholders and kick in your communications to see which ones they think is a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, cool. Next question I've got. This is a good question, I think. What mindset do successful Pure learners typically bring to the table? Am I coming to you first this time, Tanya? I think, yeah?
Okay, sure. So my mindset is kind of a blend. At heart, I am truly an optimist, and my course on From Risk to Rewards, Reframing the Project Journey really shows that. That's not to say I don't have a pessimistic side and that I don't have a realistic side. Now, even the formula in, PMI is the optimistic, pessimistic, realistic, and then figure out backwards how you land. We've got to be able to balance those things. But I have to continually work on my mindset too, especially in a project management role, because we're always met with challenges, different forms, different days, different stakeholders. There's always hurdles we're going to have to overcome. So really intentionally talking ourselves up, coaching ourselves and coaching others to try and see the bright side beyond the challenges, I think is super important.
Great. Ellen?
And I'm also thinking about taking in another step of what is the mindset of the person that's coming into this credential, and what should they be thinking while they're watching through all the courses. I would take it one step at a time. Don't get discouraged. There are some options where you can speed up, not that you have to, but if you want to speed up, because if you're a fast-paced learner, that is an option. So when you hear there's 60 hours, don't let that be intimidating, because other than in work, we have our professional lives, we have personal lives and things that are going on. But if you take that mindset of positivity, and you will get through this, and this will be a great credential to either start your project management journey. Some of you are wondering, where do I start? I'm hearing so many different things. This would be a wonderful way to get on the top of things with project management. Or if you're a seasoned project manager or switching roles and you've been in the industry for a while, this can enhance any credential or certification you have. So think of it as upskilling. You can't go wrong, and you're just going to learn more things, because as we get older, we don't know everything. I have a PhD and I still don't know everything. I never claim to. So you don't even think that way. You say, what can I learn? How can I get better to be a better me and better for our environment and community? So that's the mindset I take, and I hope that comes through, because I know, Dave, we were talking, or Tanya was, about your course. You have two, and you can see through your eyes your genuine interest in the people that are on the other side listening to this information, and you want them to get it, and you want them to succeed and do well. So I do hope that genuineness comes through for my course. Tanya, it's already there. You're eloquent, and so this is 3 of the 29, so hopefully you'll get to see others and have the same feeling we did, and the friendships that have been made from this project.
Yeah, it's a good point. I missed the days when I think I was about 18 to 19 when I thought I knew everything. That was great.
Now we know nothing, right? The older you get, the more you know you don't know. So
I had a good few years of humbling experiences that brought us back down to earth, so that was good. But just to add one little comment on the mindset of the learners, I think the thing that I really try to push for, and one of my favorite things to talk about, was taking an experimentation mindset. I would love people to take a course, then think, right, how can I apply this over the next couple of weeks, and then see what results you get before you move forward. As you touched on, Ellen, if you want to speed run it, you can, but I'm not convinced that's the way you'll get the most value from this. I think really trying to glean from the experience of the practitioners and try out some of these things is really where you're going to see the most bang for your buck on this one.
Absolutely.
Great. I wanted to bring up one point too, because as y'all were talking through things, you reminded me of something. Ellen, when you brought up that people can play it back at certain speeds, it even reminds me of like time blocking and pacing yourself, how to structure your day. Like if you wake up and you do 30 minutes of walking in the morning or time blocking for lunch, this can be the same way. So the different courses that are throughout this, I mean, some of them are an hour in duration, some of them are 3 or 4 hours in duration. So even going through the program and looking at that and helping to almost lay out your plan of what your time frame is, whether you're going to do it before work, after work, or play it on your mobile device when you're relaxing at night. there's different ways to even get you in that mindset of how am I going to tackle this 60 hours on top of the other things that I'm doing and still retain the knowledge.
Absolutely. And when I did say that, I know what you're saying, David, but what I was also thinking of, there are some instructors, rightfully so, speak slower purposely because we do have people have English as a second language. So I do understand that. And as far as speeding, you could do that if you're watching it again and you're just trying to get to another spot. So, the people can play around. There's that option and you don't have to use it, but to each his own.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The next question I've got, Ellen, I'll come to you first this time.
Okay.
I've got some opinions on this actually, but what's the best way to start with Pure?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, what I would do is on that website, and I know they have the syllabus that shows all of the different courses. What you could do if there's free AI, you can put all of the titles into an AI or a chat GPT and say, talk about yourself as far as this is what I want to gain. This is my skills. These are my strengths and maybe my weaknesses. Put all of these courses in a way that would be best for me. So you can, and in a minute, less than that, it will tell you that way to use it. Or if you don't want to do AI, that's fine. The way I would start is just go in order of the, when you log in, it will have everything in order and you can just go that way so you don't miss a course. But what's the beauty of on the side is a drop down menu that will say in progress or what you haven't finished. So you won't miss anything. And of course you can't get to the last exam until everything's completed. But I would start from, left to right unless you want to make it more of a focus for yourself. Like I can't think of my words, but that's me.
No, I get you.
What's going on? Customize. That's the word. If you wanted to customize it, otherwise it's fine. Everything is autonomous. You don't need one course without the other, basically.
Great. Tanya.
I think, well, she just gave me an idea, that I hadn't thought of before, like even customizing, what is specific to me, like writing it up in Chat GPT and saying, I need to learn these things. Tell me which order. I think that's a phenomenal idea. And I'll be quite transparent. I probably have not gotten quite as far through the courses, as I need to. That's something I'm working on my own project manager, time blocking skills, to get back around to. But a lot of it, just even knowing the instructors and talking to them, going into like the different podcasts with Walt and getting to know people on the team. One thing I love is people in this group are continually growing. And that is so motivational. Like we've got one of the instructors that's studying for the ACP, the other one doing podcasts, the other one starting new roles, new books. And so that energy of being connected to people who have that mindset is so important to me. So I know that didn't directly answer the question of how to start with Pure, but I actually love the idea that if people don't automatically find themselves gravitating to one course, taking that syllabus and put it in Chat GPT based on their preferences, I think is amazing.
Totally agree. So there's 2 or 3 things I want to plug on this question. A really good thing about Pure is a lot of the instructors have built external assets from the course that you can use to do things like this to prioritize your learning. I'm thinking of Brooks, Clinton Herman, who's put together a great Excel spreadsheet that shows you all the courses, the PDUs per course, the instructor, the icons, the description. Walt, who I think Tanya, you mentioned, he's done something very similar. So there's another sort of tracker that you can have a look at and prioritize against. And I've put together a Miro board that has the standard table that you'd expect that you can move things around in. But on the AI point, I've actually also embedded an AI chatbot into the Miro board. So if you want to talk to that, it's a subject matter expert in all things Pure. So that can direct you on how you can get the most out of it and how to prioritize your learning as well. So in a nutshell, I think there's a lot of different ways and a lot of assets that instructors have put together that learners can use. And as the professionals say, we'll probably drop some links to those in the show notes so you guys can check them out as well. Okay, we're coming right up on time, so let's try and squeeze one more in. So this is a good one, and Tanya, I'll come to you first this time. can Pure help people transition from non-traditional backgrounds into project management roles?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here's why. I think when you're in industry transition, especially trying to come over to project management, there's several things that you need to think about. You need to think about your experience, how to phrase your experience, how to think like a project manager, where you're able to take what you've done in the past and see that in terms of a project and outcomes. Even learning the AI. I mean, I think there's a lot of training in there too that teaches people even on that transition. And I love, and this is going to dial back to kind of one of the beginning things I said, just the diversity and the different groups that are involved, I think is so important, because I've done a lot of networking over the years and been in specific groups, and sometimes they get a little bit tunnel vision. It's just one or two industries. And then you find that the people that are working in those industries are scared of hearing about Agile, or those things are intimidating. I think this program makes it easy. I think they use language that's approachable, easy to understand, so people are able to let those concepts sink in a little bit more and understand how they fit into that picture.
Great.
I agree with what Tanya said, because maybe there are some people that are not in project management per se, and they find that intimidating, thinking it's a whole different enclave of things. But if you just think of what profession you're in, you do projects. So you can use this, it can apply it. It's not over anyone's head as far as I'm concerned with all of the courses that are there. And it can just be, and then again, it's not too basic for those who are elevated in PM. It's just a great balance. And one example, someone had asked me, she had been a nanny. I know this is getting off topic, but I want to go into industry, but I have no experience. It's like, well, you managed a home. So think of all the things that you've done and managed children. Now, there can be team members that act like children.
Adventures of babysitting. Yep.
Even people who are in sports or coaches, you manage teams. So you can just apply it, like Tanya was saying, apply it and make it fit and work. And if you put yourself out there, you can't even think of what you can accomplish. I mean, you're not too old or too young to start something new. So that's what I have to say about that.
I think so too. I'm just going to make one more quick point. I mean, just battling the imposter syndrome, because I think that all of us have been through it at some point. We see people that we assume are doing more than us or doing better than us, or how did they get there? I'll never be there. And even when I first got into project management, I was the accidental project manager. It took somebody else telling me what he saw in me and really kind of championing me to make me believe in myself, talking me through some of my vulnerability to get to that next level. And that's not to say I haven't had questions. I mean, sometimes there's daily questions. What am I doing? How did I get here? Where am I to go forward? But I think that that's just the chapters of life. And I think that this program is so accessible, with real people that are genuine, that are down to earth, sharing their knowledge in an easy to understand way that can help to inspire and motivate others. So,
yeah, I really like what you've both come out with there, because the overwhelming feeling I get if I was to be someone new running this course is it really helps to formalize a lot of what you already know, but just translates that into project management speak or project management lexicon. You're probably already doing a lot of project management, you just might not realize it yet. And I think that that's what this course is a bit of a gateway for. And as you say, that really helps to battle the imposter syndrome, doesn't it? When you've got the evidence to show, okay, I'm actually maybe not as bad as I think I am.
right.
And the support team, having a support team of colleagues or anyone that you trust, and you just build upon that. And it's like, we get this one time around this earth or on this earth, and why not use it to the best advantage for you to make others. I guess I wear rose-colored glasses, but that's my point of thinking, how you can all benefit one another for our next generation too. So.
Great.
I think it's the best mindset. So,
absolutely, yeah. Okay, we're just at about time. So before we wrap this one up, I'll just come round for any final thoughts. So, Ellen, I'll come to you first. If you were going to leave one sort of final thought from this session for anyone thinking about Pure, what would it be?
Just get on board and think about what. Okay, let me start over. Think about what's the best thing that you'd like to do next. Okay, have some goals set. Think about what you can benefit from. And I do know, go to the website, look up all the different courses, look at the Meet the Team. You'll see a varied amount of people. You'll see their credentials and their profile. And do that, sleep on it, and then wake up energized and say, I'm going to tackle this. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Ellen. Tanya, I'll come to you with the same question.
I think definitely taking the time to look at the team page, read up on their experience, see the diversity that is in that group, realize that there's some of us that just got started with project management and others that have been in it for years, and understand the value of learning from a mentorship of people who have been there, who have done it, and then just browsing the syllabus and looking at the topic. I love how, I think it was Ellen, or maybe it was you, Dave, that broke it out that it was like for $3.99, it's about $14 a cost. And thinking about the value of investing in yourself and your continuous learning is the best investment you will ever make in this entire life.
Yeah, totally agree. Love what you both got. I think the only thing I would add, if anything, is just get in touch with us. Reach out to us. We really want to talk about what we've done. Everyone's passion for what they talk about really comes through in their courses. I've had a couple of people message me about a couple of mine. That's been great to bounce ideas around and sort of think about how I can improve things moving forward. But I think ultimately, just get in touch with us, and we're all really happy to chat and show you guys the value that we think we're going to unlock with this. So please get in touch if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sincerely. I say that too with being a college professor. After the course is over, the connection doesn't end. I'm always accessible for people. So in this professional journey on LinkedIn, I'm there. So feel free to ask questions. We hopefully be able to help you. And if not, I'll direct you to a teammate that can.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you very much, Ellen.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. Great. Hopefully we can do more of these. I think just to wrap up, we'll leave our LinkedIn in the show notes. PureManagementAlliance.com will also be in the show notes, and we'll link out to those assets as well. But thank you very much for listening, everyone, and hope to hear from you all soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.